Welcome to the 2025 University of Mississippi Distinguished Alumni Award Ceremony. Our first award of the night is the Outstanding Young Alumni Award, presented to Alexa Lampkin Minor.
There is a tradition in many of the African American sororities and fraternities that once you're initiated, you get what we call the line name. And that's something like a nickname. Now, here's what's special about that. Just like you don't get to choose your name when you're born, your parents choose that, you don't get to choose your line name or your nickname. The members of the chapter, or typically your big sister or someone, influences what you are called. So now I'm going to share with you what Alexis's line name, nickname was. And that is, I actually brought a prop, Melodic Captivation. Very unusual. And I teasingly said when I saw her name, that's really expensive to put on the back of a t-shirt. A very, very long name. But here's why she received that name. Melodic, because she loves to sing. And she was a member of the University of Mississippi Gospel Choir when she was a student at Ole Miss. And she felt like the melody in her song was a gift, and she used it to inspire and uplift. The captivation is not hard to explain. When she walks into the room, she's charming, she is captivating, and she gets your attention.
I first met Lex when I was the graduate advisor for our sorority. When I first met her, she comes across as reserved and quiet. But when you get to know her, her personality shines through. And so she was one of the executive members for the sorority during the time that she was in school. I think the most inspiring thing since then to now is seeing how she's grown into the woman that she is.
She's accomplished many firsts in her life, from high school to being the first African American to graduate valedictorian of her St. Joseph Catholic School, to, she owns her own practice now, dental practice, but at one time she worked for the University of Mississippi Medical School. And she was the youngest assistant professor. Then she got chosen as the first African American female to lead the University of Mississippi Medical School Alumni Board of Directors, to then being appointed by the governor himself as the first female to serve on the Mississippi State Board of Dental Examiners. So, and it's just a few of the many firsts. What I'm most proud of is not the first, but what she's done. Because when you are setting that path, you have the opportunity to have social impact. She's used it to go on mission trips. I think she went to the Dominican Republic on a mission trip. She's used it to inspire young people to be interested in STEM careers, actually having mentoring programs and talking about the medical profession. And she even developed her own program for high school students to let them understand what it takes to be a dentist in Mississippi.
My dentist was her student. And so I got a new dentist and we were talking, and she went to UMMC. And when she said, well, she was my teacher, and I'm thinking, she's not old enough to have been teaching anybody, but she was. So I think just inspiring others to do what she's done, follow in her footsteps, let them see that as a Black woman and Black people in general, they can do this because there are very few. And she is just blazing that trail for others moving forward.
Alexa doesn't know I have watched her as a young person that she succeeded. And what you don't understand about life when you're young is that when you go through fire, you will go through them, but you can come out okay on the other side. That we all face obstacles in life, and we choose if we want to give up or not. My mom used to say, we don't select the cards we are handed, but we do choose how to play them. And what I've watched with her young is her face those obstacles, her not being selected, but trying again, her, having to work hard to get what she wanted out of life and never giving up. And so what I want to say to her is sometimes God allows us to go through fires to prepare us for the journey he has ahead for us. And so, Alexa, I'm so proud of you because I know that he has many more things you've already accomplished before the age of 40, how much more he has for you. And I'm really proud to see how you overcome obstacles, how you inspire others, and how you continue to work hard on that journey. And yes, there's always something better on the other side of that fire.
You are fantastic. I love you, and keep doing wonderful things. You inspire me and so many others. Thank you for all that you do.
Congratulations to Alexa, better known as Melodic Captivation.
I will start off with my new husband. I would like to thank Christian Minor for always being there for me, always being my shoulder to cry on, my listening ear, and just always telling me it's going to be okay. It's life, but you will get through it every step of the way. And I'm so thankful to be in his corner as well. And I would like to thank I call her my aunt, but also my mother, my mama Nene. She is a selfless heart. When you think of someone who is just completely selfless and will do anything, go to the realms of the earth for someone, that's my aunt. And I'm so thankful that all of her nieces and her nephews are her children. And then last but not least, my pawpaw. That is my paternal grandmother's husband of 64 years. And my husband and I got married on October 4th to commemorate my grandparents' wedding anniversary of October 4th, 1956. So he is a pillar of the community, and I just love him so very much. And I'm so thankful that they're all out there tonight to support me. I would like to go back to the folk narrative quote, "It takes a village." It definitely took a village to get me to where I am today. I've been standing on some giants' shoulders. My dad was a retired fireman. And, my mom worked as well tirelessly to make sure that I had the education starting off, going to a private school, then, coming to the University of Mississippi on a big scholarship, and then making sure that I had what I needed. I also applied for the Honors College, and God was continuing to be in the blessing business, and I was accepted there. So when I came to Ole Miss, I started in image. I'm not for sure if you know what that is. It's like the STEM. It's like for STEM majors. And from there, I was introduced into healthcare professionals from the University of Mississippi Medical Center. And from there, I knew what classes I needed to take. I knew what rooms I needed to stand in, what tables I needed to sit in. So from there, I used every avenue that I could to get to where I am today. And so I always said that everyone that I encountered was like a guiding compass for me. That compass gave me the directions that I needed to follow to get to my target. My biggest passion is mentorship. At the University of Mississippi Medical Center, at the School of Dentistry, I was one of the directors of admissions. I was a full-time faculty member. So I was able to use my love of dentistry and education to mentor the future dental leaders of the state of Mississippi. But now I have something called mentorship, because my practice is Mint Dental in Pearl, Mississippi. And so I have young students that are interested in either dental or dental hygiene or dental assistant to come through my clinic and learn the ins and outs of the practice of dentistry, the clinical aspects of overhead and managing staff and managing insurance companies. So I'm giving them the raw of what it is. I also would like to start a scholarship for students or, young people that are interested in any type of healthcare, whether it's medicine, nursing, whatever it may be, in the honor of my paternal grandmother, who suffered from chronic kidney disease. And just thinking and helping throughout that journey, it just showed me the importance of having people that care, have unwavering service, because you have to be selfless in caring for others. And I think that's my biggest passion of why I chose dentistry, because I'm making those long life relationships with patients and their families. And so seeing what my grandmother went through, I want to help others that are wanting to further their careers and whatever it may be, so that they can help someone out that may be in the same situation as my grandmother was in back in the day. It's such an honor to have been a student, turned alumni, turned faculty, and to give back, and then now to be honored. It's just amazing, an amazing honor. Thank you to the committee and everybody that saw the potential in me from the beginning, even to, helping me to be an awardee of such an accomplishment. It is so inspiring to continue, like myself, to continue to say, Alexa, wow, you're making a difference in ways that you may not have ever thought that you could, whether it's just talking to someone young or talking to someone old. So I thank the committee for just giving me the opportunity to accept this and to know that I love you with all my heart. Thank you so much.
Ladies and gentlemen, your 2025 Outstanding Young Alumni Award recipient, Alexa Lampkin Minor. Our first inductee into the Hall of Fame is John Lewis Black Jr.
1957, John and I entered Ole Miss as freshmen, both of us 17 years old, and we happened to join the same fraternity. So I've known John for 68 years or whatever it is, and to have a friend for that long, that's very special. Johnny most certainly could have gone anywhere he wanted to, but he came here, thank God. Johnny was a math major. I was a pre-med dude trying to get to med school. Johnny was over there making fantastic grades. He won every academic award you can imagine. Taylor Medal, he was getting all those wonderful honors. We were just on a different path. Now, you're talking about a change maker. I mean, first of all, he gave us the courthouses. That was the original thing he did, paid all the debt off. And then he said, I'm going to do a lot more for you. We had a party one night for an event for changemakers, and I was one of them, and so Suzanne Timms was one of them, and I gave my whole deal about my own cancer and the fact we need a cancer center, and my brother died of cancer, those sort of things. And he told his family, this is the big one. This is the one. We're going to make a difference. And he did. I mean, he gave the biggest donation I think we've ever had. at the medical center. I was explaining to Coach Beard about our friendship, Johnny and my friendship, and I said he had told me this. He was going to do things for the medical center, and then he did things for basketball. I thought he left me, but he didn't. He came back big time. He doesn't do that for any big deal or hooray for me. He does it really to see if he can help humanity, particularly what he did for the medical center. I mean, he really, really cares about Mississippi and the tough world that we have with healthcare in Mississippi.
Well, to me, John, and whenever I talk about John, I have to talk about Sandy as well. But they're just people that, again, once they decide they're in, they're definitely in. And you meet them, and they're the type of people that, one, right away you see that they have strong character, great integrity. The success that John's had in his career is just amazing. But they're also very philanthropic. They're the people that want to give back. They want to help in meaningful ways. And obviously what they've done for athletics, what they've done in Jackson with the cancer center and everything there. It just shows that, they've been super successful in their lives, but they want to spread that, and they want to make sure that it helps other people. And man, that's just been a really cool thing as we've gotten to know them. Just their character, the way they think about things and the way they want to help people has been really cool. What I love about him is that, he could easily, take his time and his financial efforts to do a lot of different things personally for him. And, but he wants to help people. And you can see that he cares about what we do here at Ole Miss, and in particular in our world in athletics. He gets to know our coaches, he gets to know our student athletes, and that's been really cool. And they know him, so that's been fun to see. But again, they care about people. They want to use what they've been fortunate enough and blessed enough to receive in their lifetimes to help other people, and that's super refreshing in the world that we live in now. When we went to John and Sandy about the naming of the pavilion, and I think at first they were certainly interested. They wanted to help, and it wasn't like, hey, we don't want to donate the amount of money you're asking, but the humility of John and Sandy, they were like, I'm not sure if that's really what we want to do, and our name to be all out there like that. But what we explained to them was that, this would, one, obviously help our athletics department. It would push us forward in a transformational way. But this is something that, not only for John and Sandy, it was for their family, it was for their legacy. And we kind of talked them into that and had to kind of twist their arm a little bit from that perspective, just because, they are humble. They want to do things to help, but it's not always about being out in front and those type of things. But ultimately we got them to the place where we said, hey, you guys deserve this. If you're going to make this gift and be this generous and transformational to us, we want to give something back to you too, and you need to be recognized for that. So it was a really cool process. I'm not sure there's a better, person that could be inducted into this Hall of Fame. So many great things he's accomplished personally for himself and his family, but the things that he's done for Ole Miss. John, what a great honor. We're very proud of you, and this is very well deserved. So congratulations. Thank you for what you do for not only Ole Miss, but especially Ole Miss athletics. We couldn't do it without you. Thank you so much.
How many people do you know you met 68 years ago when you were 17 years old, and you've both gone on your tracks, and you've had a wonderful life? I've had a blessed world that I've lived in, as has Johnny. But now we're able to work together to try to make a difference in some important things. So he's touched me in lots of ways. Well, Johnny, big night, brother. Can you imagine 1957 and now tonight? It's been a great journey. I appreciate all you and Sandy have done. Thank you.
Well, as I look out at this crowd, I'm just amazed that so many people showed up for my birthday. We tried to keep it a secret, but I guess it got out. My wife bought a large cake, but it's just not going to be nearly big enough to serve everybody, so you'll have to go with the dessert that comes with the meal. It's a very satisfying and humbling experience to receive this honor, to put my name along so many people who have come before me, the likes of Jim Barksdale and Bill Yates and Robert Kayette and Jimmy Keaton and Dan Jones. It's just a very humbling experience, and something I thought about at times in the past, but never dreamed it would happen. So I'm just delighted to be here. My experience at Ole Miss, it goes without saying that I wouldn't be where I am today without Ole Miss. It's been a major part of our life and my family's life. The educational part of when I was here at Ole Miss was great, but there were two professors that played a major role in my education and in my life forward that I think about a lot and don't think I would be where I am today without them. They instilled a degree of confidence in me that I never knew existed. And Dr. T.A. Bickerstaff in the math department and Gene Perry in the accounting department. And these are two gentlemen who molded my life and helped me get to where I am today. When I was a senior, majoring in mathematics, they ran short of graduate assistants to teach freshman courses. And they asked me to, as a senior, to teach freshman algebra, which I did. And I actually have a couple of letterheads addressed to Professor John Black, which I laugh at every time I see. But I was actually employed as an associate professor at some small amount of money during my senior year to teach. Maybe 7 years after graduation from Ole Miss, I was involved in a normal business activity and decided to leave the safe and secure situation I was in and go out on a new venture on my own. And 12 years later, the result of that effort, with the help of many, many people, was a company that comprised 52 skilled nursing homes in 7 southeastern states, which we ended up selling 12 years ago. And the impact of that sale has allowed us to support Ole Miss financially, both in the academic area, the athletic areas, and more importantly to us recently, the University of Mississippi Medical Center. Everybody out in the audience has been approached many times by representatives of the Ole Miss Foundation, the Athletic Foundation, the Med Center Foundation. And there's so many wonderful gifts that people have done over the years that benefit a single person, like a scholarship or a group of people, perhaps for endowing a chair, one of the areas of study, or supporting a building. But there's one project that has started recently that I've taken a serious interest in, that I think it's something that will eventually or potentially impact everybody in the state of Mississippi. And that's a project at the University of Mississippi Medical Center, the building of a new Cancer Center and Research Institute. The project at this point is in its infancy, funding-wise, but it's a project that I think all Ole Miss alums and friends of Ole Miss should take a look at, to take an interest in, to see if it's something that they'd like to participate in. And one thing that has been important in my life is keeping family first. Friends are great and can't do without them, but the bottom line is your family is the most important thing. Everything that has happened in my life has been part of a team effort between my wife Sandy and myself. We're coming up on our 62nd wedding anniversary in about a month, and I want her to share in this recognition with me. Our 3 children, who all have turned out to be very responsible, good adults, are here tonight, and a number of our grandchildren and their spouses, who I hope will turn out the same way, are here as well. And special thanks to Jimmy Keaton, who has been a friend for a long time, and I'd like to thank him for what he's done to my life over the years.
Ladies and gentlemen, 2025 Hall of Fame inductee, John Lewis Black Jr. Our next inductee into the Hall of Fame is Chip Crunk.
I've known Chip since he was a spry little junior high kid. My best friend Melody was his older sister, and I could tell you stories, and Chip, I'm sure you're scared, but I won't, because you could probably tell some on me. So I'm just going to be nice. So Chip and I both worked, well, he was in the summer, but I worked at his father's company, Robert J. Young Company. And Chip, you would think, being the son of the CEO, would have a desk job, but oh no, Chip worked in the warehouse, unboxing copiers and setting them up and installing them, doing all the service. He did all the grunt work. And I watched you, Chip, and I was impressed. From that little high school kid, the junior high kid, to this little college kid that was really working hard. And I watched him all the way through till he took the company over in 1995.
And somehow when Chip took over that business from his father, he's managed to grow that business 10% a year over a 20-year period. Despite the economy, despite interest rates, despite pandemics. And to be able to do that over a 20-year period is exceptional business leadership. I'm in business for a living. We buy, sell, evaluate, work with businesses. I don't see many businesses that are able to achieve that. And that's only done with great leadership and inspiration and motivation, which I think is something that Chip has in spades.
Well, I think Chip has earned his accolades, and I think he gets most improved human. But he's, been the past chairman of the business school board. He loves Ole Miss. Both of his kids went here. His son-in-law, his now grandson, John, baby John, and Chip has, the biggest heart. He would do anything you ask him.
He does a lot of things every day for people that he doesn't really advertise. I know Chip has a plane. When the Bahamas had that terrible hurricane a few years ago, Chip made multiple trips down there to take supplies. He didn't do one trip for a publicity stunt. He did it because he believes in the cause, and he was really trying to make people, make others better and improve their lives. So if you take Chip's business acumen, his character as a person and his giving back, and particularly the way he's given back to Ole Miss and the community in general, makes him an exceptional candidate for this.
Since I worked at the Robert J. Young Company, it was just this $20 million copier company, and now it's $200 million company with 28 branches and 10 states and 700 employees, and he's just made it a national brand, and all from his Ole Miss education. So that inspires me, because I never thought that this little bratty junior high kid could do something like that.
Well, everything that Chip does, he does 100%. He will give everything he has, and he'll also tell you exactly what he thinks, and he won't be shy about it. Now, I love him for that, but there are certain times I like to hit him in the face. But when Chip jumps into something for Ole Miss, whether it's academics and his work in the business school, or fundraising and his work on the Now and Ever campaign, or athletics and how he gives to athletics and participates in that, whatever Chip does, he does 100%. I can't think of anyone more worthy of being in the Ole Miss Alumni Hall of Fame than Chip. His business leadership, the amount he's given back to Ole Miss, the number of graduates that he's hired in his own company, the numerous things that he does in the community for others. I mean, his character just shines through in everything he does.
Chip, I'm so proud of you, and I'm so glad that you're in the Hall of Fame. Who knew? Who knew? But I'm so happy for you. Congratulations. Love you, bud.
Well, when he first called me, I wasn't sure it was real. I thought somebody was playing a joke on me. I said, as I look back at my career, I really don't know what the Hall of Fame is created by. Is it because you've had success in business? Is it because you have given resources back to the university? Is it because you spent a lot of time trying to help the university be better? And if you take all those three things together, then probably that's why I'm here. And then when I think about it, what it really says is I was raised right. Is my parents instilled the values to make sure that when you are successful, you use those values and try to help other people reach their objectives. When I was in high school, I grew up in Nashville, Tennessee, just south of Nashville, a place called Brentwood, and all my friends were going to UT. And I decided that if I went to UT, it'd be like going to high school again. And I knew I wanted to go to an SEC school. I grew up a Vandy fan, but I wasn't that smart. And the next closest place was Ole Miss. And when I was a senior in high school, I came down here and visited for a party they would have called Shrimp and Beer out at Sardis Lake. And I thought that was the coolest thing I'd ever been to in my life. And so anyway, had a great time. And then after there, I enrolled, really didn't know anybody, and just kind of went from there. What stood out to me is the friendships you make. I had 11 radio stations with my roommate from college, and he turned out to be like a little brother to me. And it's just, those relationships never die. And I was a shy, introverted individual when I came here, but I learned how to communicate and how to get along with others and make things happen by interacting with others, where I would normally not do that in the past. Well, I think that's what made me successful. I mean, there's no doubt. You've got to be able to lead others and communicate well how to do that. March 28th of 1998, I remember the day vividly. It stuck in my mind. I had been CEO for about 6 months. And frankly, I didn't know what I didn't know. I was still learning the job. But I got a call from our security company saying they have detected heat in our building. And so I said, okay. So I drove down there at 10 o'clock at night, and our building is in downtown Nashville, and there were flames everywhere, 6 fire trucks, probably 50 firemen. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is the big one. And when that happened, back then, remote work was not an option. The technology just wasn't there. So I had to sit there, and we did what we could that night. And then the next morning, it came out about 7:30 in the morning when everybody showed up at work. I got the forklift out, and I had them raise me up on the forklift. And this is what I said. I said, ladies and gentlemen, we've had an incident happen here last night. I want you to go out and make sure this is an internal issue and not an external issue. You go take care of the customers today, and when you come back this afternoon, I'll have a plan. And what I learned through that, people will follow you as long as they know you have a plan to get there. I'm very fortunate in that I still have both my parents. At my age, most of my friends don't. They will be with me tonight. My sister and her husband will be with me tonight. My daughter and her husband will be with me tonight, and my son will be there. And I have also invited my best friend from college, son, who passed away, and I'm kind of a mentor to him. My dad is my mentor. He is the one that gave me the values and gave me the work ethic it took to be successful. And without him, I would not be here today.
Ladies and gentlemen, 2025 Hall of Fame inductee, Chip Crunk. Our next inductee into the Hall of Fame is Albert Hilliard.
Al was always exceptional. He was always a little bit more studious, a little bit more different, but always giving, always wanting to help.
As a high school student, he put in his memory book that he had a vision of attending Ole Miss. And I think that really influenced me a lot, because I think having a vision and kind of at least understanding a little bit about where you want to go and how you want to get that is important. And the fact that he knew that in high school and wrote that down meant that he was on his way to success.
Growing up with him, being a little age difference, I got to really more appreciate him more after he became an adult, because I was not at home. Because I was in college when he was in high school. I would go and support him when I could. But it was that because of that gap, I was able to appreciate him more when he became an adult, especially when he came to Ole Miss and we pledged the same fraternity. He was the president. Not only was he the president, I had another brother called Alonzo. They both were president of the chapter while he was here as collegiates. And he's still active. Actually, we're in a initiative right now. We was only African American fraternity on fraternity roll at one time, and the house that used to be on fraternity roll, because of weather related storm came along and sort of messed it up. So we're in the process of trying to rebuild, and he leading that initiative. He's always stayed connected with Ole Miss. He was in ROTC here. So he went to the Air Force as a second lieutenant. He was in the program here. And then he went to Air Force. And then he, after he got out, sort of retired from the Air Force, he started a career with ExxonMobil. He's one of the most giving, most compassionate person that I know. He's always looking out for opportunity to help people in a mentoring capacity or whatever he can do, because that's just who he is.
Not only did he come back and stay active with the engineering school, but he established scholarships. He mentored students to make sure that vision continued.
He has a scholarship that he established, he and his wife established for, in the memory of my mom, where any of her descendants that go to college, if they maintain a certain average, there's a scholarship that he gives. Also, he has a scholarship. He and his wife established a scholarship in my mom's name here at Ole Miss. So he's definitely always giving. And for our family, to be considered for the highest honor within the Alumni Association, it's definitely very special to me. Very encouraging, because his contribution is being recognized on a very high level. And that means everything to me. I am so honored to speak on behalf of him in person, because I've seen the sacrifices. I've seen the giving spirit. I've seen the difference he made in people's lives. And not only I've seen it, but he continued to do this. He seemed to be, as I had one family member say, it seemed like Al just know when someone needs him, or needs not only just maybe from a financial standpoint, but just for a encouraging or an example. So that in itself is a compliment to him, and also what he's mean to the family and to Ole Miss and other organizations that he's involved in.
And even more inspiring to me is the fact that now he is the second Hilliard brother to be inducted into the Ole Miss Alumni Association Hall of Fame. I couldn't be prouder of them, of who they are at this institution, what they mean to this institution, but the fact that we're honoring them tonight. My daughter Lily, who is also Ole Miss graduate, so anytime she's in Memphis and says she's graduated from Ole Miss, the first thing they ask her is, "Hey, do you know the Hilliards?" so again, your legacy lives on. Congratulations, so proud of you.
I want to say personally what this means to me. I've watched you over the years and how you've always put other people first, and how you assisted, and how you actually work hard to accomplish some of the things that you've accomplished. And on behalf of the family, as a family, you know we are here. You look around the room, you see that we're here, and we're very supportive of you because you've always supported us. So we want to say congratulations, thank you, and you're very deserving.
I mean, it's incredibly humbling and deeply personal for me as someone who grew up in rural Northwest Mississippi. It's a great reminder of how faith, family, and education can take you, how far it can take you. Ole Miss has been a foundational thing for me. It launched a career, a global career that allowed me to go from computer science classrooms at the School of Engineering to being in a leadership role in over 20 countries with the ExxonMobil. And of course, that's not everything, of course. The big part of that is the lifelong friendships that I gained, the mentors that believed in me, and more importantly, the confidence that I gained allowed me to pursue possibilities I couldn't even imagine as a young man. So with all of that, I feel like this honor doesn't just belong to me. It belongs to my family, my fraternity brothers, and to some degree, all the students like me who dare to dream of beyond their circumstances. I tell people all the time that Ole Miss transforms lives, and I think the School of Engineering transform the way you think, etc. The size of Ole Miss and the attention and support you get from here can't be beat. The last assignment that I had, that I was asked to lead a team of industrial cybersecurity, which had become to a point where it was a very risky area for ExxonMobil in terms of cyber attacks on our industrial environments, our manufacturing plants, our field operation sites. So it was highly exposed, and I was asked to lead an effort to tighten it up. And of course, it was a combination of all the background I've had throughout my career in building teams and being global, et cetera. So it turns out to be an ideal assignment for me. And recognizing that it's more than just a technical challenge, it's about building relationships, about knowing that you don't lead just with titles, you lead with working with people, understanding in this whole idea of leading with integrity, openness, with a purpose. So that was great. And being able to get us to a point where the company could feel more comfortable knowing that we can continue to deliver power and energy to the world without being heavily exposed from cyber attacks. The university, with the whole idea of openness and being able to allow you to be who you are, having instructors that allow you to be able to get to really understand what all the things you're really trying to do and what you're here for. So not just academically, but also personal growth, etc. And I had an opportunity when I was here to meet with the chancellor several times. So it was an opportunity to really, as a young person, to really understand what the university is trying to do, both, from a healthy environment perspective, but also to make sure that the students are having a good experience. So being on the chancellor board that I had an opportunity to do, that was really significant. So once again, it has given me confidence when I moved on, and to be able to continue to work with high-level folks and feel comfortable about doing that. I had an opportunity to do that at Ole Miss, so I would always be thankful for that. I also like to tell folks, make sure you surround yourself by people that will support you and hold you accountable as well. And I've told my kids, it's good to maybe just have your own little personal executive board, just people that will hold you accountable, but also support you in being successful. My brother George, he has been, he's also a member of the Ole Miss Alumni Hall of Fame, which is a major thing for me. But he's also provided the whole support. He's been my mentor, role model, that showed me early on what it means to lead, but with integrity, generosity, with purpose. And he certainly is the top of my board. I mean, since I was a young child, I followed his footsteps. And my wife, of course, I met her here at Ole Miss. So once again, that's that tie that I have with Ole Miss. And she and I both love Ole Miss. She went on to medical school in Jackson. So we've had a continuous bond here. And of course, she's been there the whole time, just keeping me, supporting me, helping me view the possibilities of life. So yeah, definitely her. And I could go down on my list, but it's certainly my whole family. And I have a large family, and most of them are here tonight. And I really appreciate them and value them very much. And actually, it turns out my two sons are also on my board, because they will definitely keep me open and honest in terms of giving straight feedback to me. My oldest son actually has a family. My youngest son is still single. My oldest son has his wife and 3 kids that we adore and we enjoy being around. So they're a big part of my board.
Ladies and gentlemen, 2025 Hall of Fame inductee, Albert Hilliard. Our next inductee into the Hall of Fame is Sam Lane.
Well, Sam and I were pledged the same fraternity, KA, back in the 70s, and ended up being roommates soon thereafter. But we were fast friends with our equal fanaticism for Ole Miss sports, and of course our fraternity. But the best way I could describe Sam in those early years, which really is the same throughout his career, is a letter I wrote home to my parents about him. But my parents had come up to see our room, and his side of the room was messy as usual, and he was real embarrassed, and so I was writing home to my parents. I said, Sam kept shaking his head after y'all left. I can't believe my side of the room looked like this. And of course, his room always looked like that. I told him that you understood. I said, he really is a great guy, real considerate, always in a good mood, or maybe just not in a bad mood. I don't see how he does it. He's majoring in English, and he's minoring in history, so he has no idea what he'll do when he gets out. He makes good grades, but there's just not many opportunities in English. He, like myself, would like to hook on with the athletic department in some positions such as public relations or recruiting. Sam would probably do it for nothing. We did end up actually co-writing some articles for the Daily Mississippian on sports and that kind of thing. That's where I started with him, and great friend.
I came to know Sam through Methodist Rehabilitation Center. I currently serve as the Chief Executive Officer, and before that I was Chairman of the Board. So after a long career in corporate America, I was asked to take over as CEO, and when I stepped into that position and stepped down from it, Sam stepped in behind me as Chairman of the Board. Back in 2007, Samuel was a student at the University of Georgia, and there was a time on campus that he was on a bicycle and he was hit by a drunk driver. Now his journey finally made him back to Jackson into the Methodist Rehab Center. He suffered a traumatic brain injury. It was very catastrophic, but he's made a great comeback from it. He made his way to Jackson, and that's where Sam really got ingrained in the Methodist Rehab Center. His wife would spend the days, and Sam would spend the nights. He'd work all day and spend the night there, and this went on for more than 60 days. So once Samuel was discharged, Sam went to the administration and said, how can I help this place? This place does so much good for so many people. I want to help. So fast forward, now Sam is the biggest fundraiser MRC's ever had.
Sam's banking career, extraordinary banking career with Deposit Guarantee, and then later co-founding and building from the ground floor up First Commercial Bank. In his countless hours and tireless work raising money for charities, he inspires not just me but others with how he goes about life. The way he treats people, the kindness. He's one of those people that makes you feel better being around him. Sam is just a Hall of Fame person. Sam, you are a rock solid, outstanding human being and a wonderful friend of both me and my family, but of course, Ole Miss. You are unbelievably deserving of this Hall of Fame induction. Hotty toddy.
Sam, on behalf of Methodist Rehabilitation, the mission that we all love, thank you.
When Kurt called me, it just quite frankly stunned me. This is the greatest honor of my life. Everybody watching this tonight, this is in their DNA. It's not just me. This is in the fiber of your soul, Ole Miss is. And when he informed me that I had been selected, I was incredibly honored. I had met my wife here, and two of my children went here. One went to the University of Georgia. My uncle was a man named Carl Coors, and the people watching this tonight, older or younger, will know that name because Carl Coors had the store on the campus. The left-hand side of the building, he sold the textbooks. The right-hand side, he sold the souvenirs, T-shirts, bumper stickers, whatever. And my parents would bring my sister and me up here on Sunday. Of course, the store was closed. We'd eat lunch with my aunt and uncle, and then he'd take me to the store, unlock the door. I was 5, 6 years old, flip on the lights, and tell me to get what I wanted. And from that moment on, it's like I said, it's something you can't shake even if you wanted to. Many of my very close relationships and very close friends went to school here. I met them here. John Turner, for example, we've been ordering season tickets now. This will be our 48th year, the 2025 season. So, there's just a lot of relationships like that have meant so much to me and have shaped my career in the banking business. And people have helped me. Ole Miss people, Mississippi State people, all sorts of people have helped me with our company, and I'm just very grateful. 25 years ago today, October 12th actually, we started a bank. A group of us left our previous employer and started a bank called First Commercial Bank. It's a boutique bank headquartered in Jackson. We have offices in Oxford, also in Memphis. And starting something from the ground up is a really neat thing to do in life. And I refer to the bank as my fourth child. You never leave your children. I'm 70 years old and could have retired, but I have no intention of retiring. I love what I do. I love the people I do it with. And it has just been a tremendous blessing to me, the bank and its people. I'm fortunate to have a lot of friends here tonight. And of course, my family, my 3 children are here, my wife, 3 of my 6 grandchildren are here, which I'm just delighted. My daughter-in-law, my son-in-law. And, we've got a great family. We stick together. We do things together. We travel life together, the good times and the bad. And they have just been, to say they're meaningful to me, just like everybody here. It's just an epic understatement. from the 5-year-old Carl Coors days. This is where I was coming. Now, there was never a discussion, never a doubt, never a second thought, never looking back and saying, gee, maybe I should have gone here or there. This is where I was coming. And from the first day to the last day when I graduated, May 9th, 1976, it was just a beautiful experience.
Our next inductee into the Hall of Fame is John Stroud.
I don't ever remember not knowing John Stroud. His father and my father coached basketball against each other over 70 years ago. I remember John as a very small child, always soft-spoken, always kind, always fair. John was always a gentleman. He never forgot who he was nor from where he came. Watched him play basketball many times in high school. It always amazed me that John came out of a very small high school, probably graduated with about 30. I graduated in town in New Albany. He was at West Union, that he rose to such fame from those hallowed halls of West Union High School. I think to John, he just always kept his eyes focused on what was most important to him. That was succeeding on the court as well as in the classroom. But the thing about John, I noticed watching him play on the court, it was never about John. It was always about a team effort, his teammates. He was always, like I said, very soft-spoken, and he was about winning for everybody.
Well, it was interesting because I was at Indiana University at the time, and we were not recruiting the South. And I interviewed for the job at Ole Miss. I had not seen John play, and of course, he hadn't seen me coach. And they decided to take a chance on me. And Warner Alford and John Vaught had talked to John's mom, who was an Ole Miss grad, and he and she promised that he would not make a decision until Ole Miss had a coach in place. So my first experience with John was we had the press conference announcing me. I got in the car, drove to West Union, and watched him play baseball, of all things, and I could only hope at that time that he was going to be a much better basketball player, and it really worked out well. First couple years were a real transition year because he had played at a small school and he'd had a lot of success. We did not have a particularly good team, and he didn't have a very good supporting cast. And like all freshmen and sophomores, they kind of have to get their feet wet. But he, you're looking at a guy that started out and all of a sudden he's an all-conference player. He's a player of the year. He's an All-American. I think he's still third in the all-time scoring of the Southeastern Conference. And he just, every award that you could win, especially with a team that had not had a lot of success, was, I think, a real testimonial to his abilities. He had been recruited very hard by Mississippi State, and it was seriously considering going there. So when he elected to come to Ole Miss, and we played them, he would always get, it was a tough time for him to go down there because they were on him pretty good. I think the first 2 years, he might have scored a total of 5 points. His junior or senior year, he went down there and they had 2 guys that were going to be first-round draft choices and inside players, both 6'9", 6'10". John fouled them both out, scored 42 points, and it's still a Humphrey Coliseum scoring record of all things. And I think that just speaks to how hard he worked and just his competitiveness and his desire to excel. Well, after college, of course, he was the first draft choice of the Houston Rockets and played for them with them for a couple of years, went abroad, then came back, and then really got involved in coaching, which everybody, or at least I knew he was going to be very good. And you only have to look at every place he was, whether it was Millsaps, junior college, it didn't matter where he went. He set records. He improved their program. He was a coach of the year in every league. I think he's in all of their Hall of Fames.
And he took off and was really great. And I think the most interesting part is he ended up coaching both men's basketball at New Albany, and they went to the state and won a state championship. And then years later, after he had recycled himself, he came back, and of all things, he volunteered and coached women's basketball and coached his two daughters, and they won the state championship. Well, he's humble, and he's a guy that loves Ole Miss, loves his family, has done a lot of good things in the community. He is in the Southeastern Business Hall of Fame, Southeastern Conference Business Hall of Fame, and has a very successful business. And I think probably the best thing he ever did was marrying Billie Jean. And he's got two lovely daughters, but he's always been involved in a pillar in the community and has stayed connected to Ole Miss. As important as this award is, I would congratulate him most on the kind of person he is, he's become, and the family man that, we all should be like.
John, I'd just like to say congratulations for remembering who you are, whose you are, and from where you came. I'm proud of you, my friend.
It's just a great honor. I'm blessed and thankful for the honor of being selected with so many distinguished and professional alums that have come before me, and now I'm a part of that group. And I'd like to congratulate my peers that are in the 2025 class also, and it's just a great moment for me because I've been in thinking about this, I've been in a lot of Hall of Fames through my career, but they were mostly basketball related, and this kind of encompasses my entire career from the Ole Miss days, my NBA experiences, and my pro basketball in Europe, and then coming back home and coaching high school and coaching college, and now being a businessman for the past 20 years. So this kind of brings everything together. It's one Hall of Fame, so I'm real proud of that. Well, it started with getting a diploma in 1982, an undergraduate degree in education, and then I came back and Ole Miss awarded me a master's degree in education in 1986. So from that day on, any job that I applied for or any door that I tried to open to go in, the Ole Miss degrees were with me. And, the doors might not have been open for me to go in, but the Ole Miss degree was always there. It didn't close any doors. So that journey started with them, the degree they gave me. And then through those years, the administration here and my former coaches and former teammates and everybody has helped me along the way, and especially my family. I should give a shout out to my wife, Billie Jean, for 42 years have been with me through all the Ole Miss days. And so it's just been, Ole Miss has been helped me a lot with my journey. I was thinking about that defining moments, and it probably started back in high school at little old West Union Attendance Center over in Union County. We had about a class of about 30 in my senior class, and West Union was a basketball school, and my father was the first person in Mississippi ever to get All-State 4 years. And my mother was All-State, my sister was All-State, and my mother's brother played at University of Alabama's basketball. So as I told you earlier, when I hit 9th grade, I was 6'7", so I was pretty much given a basketball and say play. And I had a good high school career, and I got an opportunity to sign with Ole Miss in scholarship back in 1976. And there was still a lot of doubt, speculation that, John Stroud, coming from a small school, could go play at an SEC school. So my freshman year, my first game as Ole Miss Rebel, I scored 14 points against TCU, and that gave me a lot of confidence. Having said all that, probably the most defining moment was being drafted by the Houston Rockets is their first pick in the 1980 draft. And that kind of brought everything together. So that was my most defining moment. But, I got that by playing here at Ole Miss. Well, anytime you've been in sports like I have, you got to think about your coaches. Coach Weltlich, I mentioned earlier, was a big influence the 4 years I was here. He made me a lot better player. Of course, My mother was always there with me. And then, as I mentioned, my wife, Billie Jean's been with me 42 years. And so just all the relationships that I've made through those years, that from whatever job I had, whatever administration I had, has helped me along the way.
Ladies and gentlemen, 2025 Hall of Fame inductee, John Stroud. Our next award is the Alumni Service Award, presented to Mary Susan Gallien Clinton.
So Mary Susan and I started working together a little over 10 years ago on the Ole Miss Women's Council, working in philanthropy. We immediately became fast friends. I felt like I'd known her always. And then, of course, we realized all these other areas where our lives had crossed and intertwined. And we've been right together ever since then. So Mary Susan is one of the most loyal people and the most fun. And I think about that. I think about her son recently got married, and she was on the dance floor introducing people. But most importantly, she had an Ole Miss recruit, and she was about to make sure that kid was coming to Ole Miss. And will be a freshman this fall, no question, because Mary Susan was doing her connector dance always and making sure that she always has Ole Miss in the forefront and making sure we get the right kids and getting them in their seat on the bus. You know, her service is really one that has started so many years ago, and every year I feel like it grows exponentially. She finds a new area to get involved, and when Mary Susan commits, she's committed. It's not a middle of the road. It's not a seasonal. If she's with you, she's with you. And Ole Miss is at the forefront of what's important to her. And, you know, thinking about all the areas where she is involved, you know, it's really amazing how many lives she's touched. I say that Mary Susan has got 2 sons, and she's got about 300 Ole Miss children. And they're now all over the country because she's still mentoring them, and she knows where they are, and she travels around the country and she checks on them. And it's amazing how she has become this mother figure to so many kids all over. And then, of course, she's involved in so many leadership roles as well. So it's amazing to think about how much impact she has. You know, I think about Mary Susan as somebody who is successful, and success is a word that, you know, we throw around in society. But if I had to describe success for Mary Susan, I would say that she cares about everything she does. There's no question. You see that in her work. But her family and the way that she prioritizes, despite having a very dynamic life, and she's got so many wonderful areas in which she's involved, from business to philanthropy, friends all over the country. But her children and her husband, her family, they know that they're number one always. And I've seen her drop what she does, you know, to run, to be there in a situation. And I hope that I can be a mother and a family member like she is to my family.
I met Mary Susan my sophomore year at Ole Miss. She pledged Delta Gamma with me, and we became best friends. She was the little sister of my roommate, and so I saw her quite often, and we just hit it off. I just watched her grow as a leader on campus, and always admired her. She is probably the most philanthropic person I know. She will give her time, her energy, her love to anyone, anytime. She is on the National Domestic Violence Board, and she has become very active, and she's the incoming president for that. She is, you know, shown her leadership through philanthropy, really, because she gives so much that people want her leadership. She is the past chairman of the foundation board, the UN Foundation Board, and she's over Delta Gamma Rush, of all things. And she's just, everybody wants to be around Mary Susan. Congratulations, Mary Susan, for this amazing award. You were so deserving, and I don't know anybody who deserves it more than you. Love you, girl.
Mary Susan, I'm so proud of you. I'm proud to be your friend, and I'm so thankful that I get to spend each week learning from you in some capacity. I'm thankful that I know that you're always with me, and I know I speak for hundreds of people who you're their person and you're with them and with us. And I love how philanthropic you are. Please just keep doing all the wonderful things that you're doing and know that we all love you so much.
I was very taken back when Kirk called me. We first had just exchanged courtesies and talked momentarily. And then when he told me, I was very humbled by that call and what that call meant. But for me, it just meant that all the quiet work that I was doing was working. And I don't need any accolades for it. I just do it because I just want to be ever present in anybody's life that I can be that might need that level of attention just to figure out who they are and where they're going in life. I'm deeply humbled by this recognition. And for me, it's not an award about my accomplishments. It's just by the way that I live my life. And I've done so for a very long time. My parents were very instrumental that you just move swiftly and silently and you do for others. You give service without seeking attention. And I was very fortunate to marry my husband, JD, who embodies that spirit too. And he's been very supportive of all my endeavors on the Ole Miss campus. You know, I'm very involved with the Ole Miss Women's Council for Philanthropy. And that is a question that our scholars ask. When we move into a new city, how can we move forward? You know, this is an early question, their freshman year. How are we going to move into our new communities and give service? And we took a trip to Denver, and I thought it was a really interesting thing to do. A good friend of mine runs the Mile High Denver United Way, and because you can stop in a United Way, there's so many different ways that you can get involved in a community. But beyond that, it was just explaining that you just have to show up. It's just that simple. You show up and you say, where can I help? You do not have to be qualified in anything to be ever present. You know, we get busy, we get married, we have children, and we get involved in their lives. And our children were older. They were in high school. And I came in one day, and I'd been doing a lot of work with the Shelter for Abused Women and Children in Naples and the Naples Children in Education Foundation that my husband and I helped found. And I was just very involved in the Naples community where I've lived for 34 years. And on the kitchen table, there was an Ole Miss Alumni magazine. And I picked it up, and there was a feature article on my great friend, Karen Belmore. And I started reading the article and what it was about. It was about a scholarship that Bruce had given in her name. And it was to the Ole Miss Women's Council. So I started delving into the article, realizing what it was about. And it wasn't just about giving financial aid. It was about giving the components that make you life world ready. The mentorship components, the travel abroad, internships, just daily lessons in life. And at that moment, I knew what she was doing on this campus and what the Ole Miss Women's Council was doing on this campus was something that was mimicking exactly what I was doing, but simply in higher education with college students. And that really tweaked my interest. I love giving my time to Ole Miss. I was a student here. I started in the fall of 1980, and a lot has happened. We're a university that is steeped in tradition, and we don't ever want that to end. But now I would say we are a university that is steeped in transformation, really great transformation. We're not only just giving scholarships to our students, we're not only seeing them walk across the graduation stage, we're investing in our students. Chancellor Emeritus Robert Kite really got this started when the Ole Miss Women's Council was founded, and he was a true supporter behind that movement of you don't just give a child money, you foster them, you take a vested interest in their life, you prepare them with career mentors, peer mentors, life mentors. And then Chancellor Boyce has taken that and amplified that to a whole new level. There is not a sector on this campus where we're not doing that with our students, whether it be the Lyceum, the Alumni House, athletics, the foundation. Every sector of our campus is not only just giving aid to students, we're giving them valuable life lessons about how that when they leave Ole Miss, they are ready to be leaders wherever they may be. I have tables of friends who are here who've supported me, and they too are just as active at the University of Mississippi as I am, invested in our students, wanting to see them excel. My family is all here. My dad's here, my husband, my two sons, my daughter-in-law. It's just a really exciting time to see, you know, that if you collaboratively, we have all been a part of this experience of me receiving this award.
Ladies and gentlemen, 2025 Alumni Service Award recipient, Mary Susan Gallien Clinton. Our final award of the night is the Honorary Alumni Award, presented to Morgan Freeman.
Was asked about 15 years ago when I was vice chancellor at the Med Center to play golf with him, with he and Bill Luckett and Linda, and get to know him because we were doing a lot of stuff with the Children's Hospital and thought he might be interested in that world. And so we arranged a golf match, and Bill and I played Linda and Morgan at the Ole Miss golf course, and I rode with Morgan my first time doing it, and we hit it off and have a lot of things in common and a lot of laughing. It was one of the more fun days of my life. Just imagine that Morgan Freeman could live anywhere he wanted to in the world. That would not be a problem. He's known all over the world, and he lives in Mississippi. And Linda taught at Ole Miss. He started coming to Ole Miss, and he loves Ole Miss just like he loves Mississippi. It's a gift to Ole Miss how much he cares about Ole Miss, and when he speaks out in the public, people listen. It's a wonderful thing. No way Ole Miss could afford to pay for all the wonderful things he does. I mean, he's done so much for Ole Miss, he's done so much for the University of Mississippi Medical Center, and he's done so much for the whole state of Mississippi. And yeah, I mean, it's just remarkable.
Well, first of all, Morgan is the finest person that you'll ever meet. I've known him for 30 years, and you know, he's the kind of guy you could sit down and have a cup of coffee with and talk about anything that you wanted to talk about. And if you didn't know he was already a star, then you just a regular down-home guy, just a great person. So that's that part of it. Now, in regard to Ole Miss, along the way in his many years of living here in Mississippi, back home, he's been a great supporter of Ole Miss. And he's provided guidance when the school was talking about racial reconciliation efforts. And along the way, Morgan has partnered with the school on racial reconciliation efforts, and he's helped foster dialogue and understanding. And of course, Morgan's visibility and success have brought national attention to the state and Ole Miss. And you know, one special standout about Morgan did for the school is when he and Linda Kena gave financially to establishing the Center for Evidence-Based Policing and Reform on campus. And that's huge. And of course, Morgan received an honorary degree from Ole Miss back in 2013. And there's really, you know, he's such a big supporter. And I don't know if anything the university has asked of him that he has not done or provided. And a lot that we know about, and most of it we don't. And I think he likes it like that. But the truth is that Morgan he's one of us, and he always will be. Well, obviously, I'm excited to see Morgan receive this recognition. Well-deserved, and just a very good night. Morgan, we love you, and we appreciate you more than you'll ever know.
Morgan, love you. I appreciate you, and you certainly deserve this honor. And thank you for accepting it.
I've lived everywhere else. In the North, in the West, in the Midwest. But home is home. I remember that I always got that sort of safety feeling, that relaxation when I would come back home to visit my parents. It's where I grew up, and I grew up in safety. And I had one of the best educations you could get anywhere. Really terrific teachers. I was going to school when teaching was a profession, not just a job. So everything good about me is because of my growing up when and where I did. I met a professor here who was very attractive, and we just sort of started spending time together, and a lot of that time was on the campus because she was a professor here, and so the rest is history, as they say. I think the school is even more proud of itself today, you know. Aside from being very competitive in the rest of the education diaspora, as it were. I'm very proud. I got my pride stemmed from them putting that flag down and saying, okay, we want to compete. If a school gets to be nominated up there among these schools, and you start saying, yeah, Harvard, Yale, and Caltech, and UCLA, Ole Miss is in the mix, you know. So that's where we want to be. Notice we. I'm glad, proud of my association with the school. So I got some bragging rights. You know. Howdy, baby.
Ladies and gentlemen, your 2025 Honorary Alumni Award recipient, Morgan Freeman.